All that matters is what you do. All that matters is what you receive. Today I'll discuss a truth that the spiritual community do not want you to know. It's a truth that will change your life. Now, if your mind is thinking, isn't that what the spiritual community already says? It will change your life? Yep, they do say that. But the reason I feel this deep within, the reason I'm saying it with conviction and self trust and sincerity is because this truth is changing my life. It changed my life many times. It's changing lives of my students. And I'm excited to share it with you. My point so far is every day, millions of people read books, listen to podcasts, motivational talks, read the newest bestseller out there, and yet their lives are stuck. You could go to YouTube and search videos of ancient masters, even the powerful teachers that existed 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and you'll see countless number of people meditating around them. And yet the corruption, manipulation, emotional stuckness, all of that didn't decrease. It continued to happen. Why do you think this happens? That we receive a lot of information and yet the change doesn't happen. We resist to take action. We remain blocked. In this video, I want to share about the resistance and how to transcend the resistance in order for you to find your highest potential. See, the truth is, lack of doing sabotages your growth, but lack of receiving, lack of that passive receptive energy ruins your imagination, passion, and playfulness. We need a balance of both. You could be doing 90% of receptivity and 10% of action. That will change the game. But if there's only 100% of overindulgence action and there is no passiveness, there's no receptivity, that action will only multiply the aggression and intensity. You need the balance of what they call in the Eastern traditions Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is the leadership space where the doing is happening. Shiva is the sacred feminine space where the being, receptiveness is happening. There came a time in my life when I let go of the clients, organizations, facilities where I was working and giving my services for many years. And I didn't do it because I became so rich and I didn't need the clients or the money. I did that because I felt, number one, my karmic contract with all these humans and organizations are there, it's done, it's complete. And I only wanted to work with humans and work in environments and with organizations that push me to be a better teacher, writer, speaker, and creator. That was my hard reset season. And I go through this hard reset when I know now this is the final button and this will change everything. My hope with this video is that by the end of it, you too find your hard reset. I'll help you do it if you are open and receptive. Let's begin. Number one resistance is money. Money has always been a barrier for many people to take action. Before I share further about money, I want to talk about a story that changed my perspective on abundance and money. Okay, here it goes. There was a teacher, a master, a mystic, a yogi in the Himalayas. He meditated on Goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and abundance, for many years. And one day, Goddess Lakshmi appeared and she asked him, "What do you want?" And he said, "I want you to come home with me." She smiled and she was like, "Why do you need me to come home with you?" And he said, "For the same reason, that everybody wants you. The power, the luxury, the comfort, the growth, money, wealth, what else?" And she said, "I love the devotion that you put in this work. but I cannot come with you because I do not come with anyone. I'm a fluid, playful energy. If anyone tries to control me or put me in a room, in a box, or try to possess me or hold me, I'll run away. So I'll not come with you. And I'm surprised you're a wise teacher and you didn't know this. Now, the master got embarrassed and he understood this didn't play out well. So he closed his eyes and he prayed that now that I can't have Lakshmi and that was my ego trip, can I go back to my roots? Can I have Goddess Saraswati to bless me? Now, Saraswati has been the energy of your self expression, your speech, your art, your creativity. And Saraswati appears. And the teacher says, could you, bless me, guide me, be with me? And she said, I'll always be with you. However, the way I'll be with you is through a form. Now, my formless form will forever be with you. Nobody can take it away. No one can steal it. The more you nurture me, the more I'll multiply. And that sounded fun to the teacher, and he said, this is amazing. I'm grateful. Let's go. So while the teacher was walking back home with Saraswati, he heard footsteps behind him. He looks back, there is Goddess Lakshmi. And now he looks at Goddess Lakshmi and he's like, why are you following us? And she said, oh, I'm coming with you. And he said, I see that, but didn't you just told me you can't come with me? And she said, yeah, I cannot come with you. And I'm coming with Saraswati. And he said, I don't get it. Lakshmi said, Saraswati is my extension. Wherever Saraswati goes, I follow. And my friends, the lesson, there are many lessons from this story, but the top lesson is wherever education, art, self-expression, writing, speech, the muse goes, the abundance will follow. When I first heard this story, it broke many myths, many programmings and narratives in my head that as a writer, as a teacher, as a creative person, you too can have abundance. And the second lesson that I loved in the story was people try to hoard money, right? Or they try to make money through scarcity mindset, through insecurity. And this is why the money doesn't, be with them. I've worked with people from Wall Street and I've noticed, and this is very well explained in the book called Psychology of Money, that when people, make millions and billions of dollars, the greed is still not fulfilled. So they'll make one silly error and all the money they've made, it just collapses. Money, abundance is a fluid energy. The more you rotate intentionally, mindfully, the more it will multiply, the more it will come back to you. And one of the basic and easy way to do that is honor the value that others bring in your life, which means do not always look for the cheap resources. If you have the means, give, share, rotate the money. Simple things can honor the goddess of abundance. Now, I have worked with multi-millionaires, but also aspiring yoga teachers, meditation coaches. There's one thing common between both very different kind of people, and that thing is they were willing to change. They were not hoarding the money. And absolutely, this doesn't apply to unethical means of money. Like I can't say, 30 minutes with me will cost $50,000. That is silly and unethical. I'm talking about ethical stuff. These people were willing to invest, were willing to rotate the money. And then I've also come across people where they would always give reasons or excuses that I don't have money, so I cannot do the work. Not just my work, but any work, be it investing in a program, learning something, they're like, yeah, I can't. But when you remove the barrier of money, they'll still not do the work. Now that is the play of mind, the circus of mind, it will always create a resistance. And it's a resistance which I really want you to know. The resistance happens because mind is a master storyteller. Anytime you wish to spend money or invest time, energy on your growth, the mind will say, it's not for you. Why are you doing it? This kind of work is for the privileged ones. This kind of work is only for the rich kids from wealthy families. It's for everyone else but you. You break this resistance through action, through intention. And that honestly does not require a lot of money. It does require a bit of openness. It does require a bit of, first baby step, and that starts to change a lot. When I left Wall Street, I had some savings. And because I knew about the law of abundance, I knew that I cannot act through scarcity and not spend it anywhere. So I started investing that money in working with my teachers, traveling to India, spending in experiences where I would get the knowledge, wisdom, education, and training to become a better Tantra teacher. And when I felt confident and strong enough in my teachings, I knew teachings alone cannot move the needle. Now the energy, the resources, the money, now it has to be reinvested into learning how do I bring it to people. So then I started working with writing coaches, creative coaches, business strategists, social media programs. If I knew this person can do this better than me, I would try to find out how to, take their help, how to learn from them. Even right now, I'm going through a YouTube program with wonderful Captain Sinbad. So shout out to him, because it's with him that I'm able to renew and recharge my energy with these videos. My point is, you cannot move the needle by yourself, and you cannot move the needle if you're so stuck or scared with the money angle, with the money mindset. I would love to keep talking about money, and we can have a separate video on it. But my point so far is, money wants to move. It will give you a lot, but allow it to move. And you do not move the entire money you have, little bit. It's about openness. It's about letting go. It's about releasing. So my question for you is, what needs to happen for you to let go of your resistance with money? Resistance to the city or the town you live in. So we all have our nostalgia where we grew up, right? And the places where you grow up, it provides you a safe, comfy, cushion energy. For some people, unfortunately, that place could also bring a lot of trauma, pain, and challenges. Now, here's the thing. You could be in a cushion, cozy, safe vibe in your hometown, or you could be in a traumatic, toxic, and just very unhealthy place. In both the cases, I urge you to leave the hometown. I'll tell you why. We share a karmic contract, energetic contract with the places we are in. And if you are feeling either stuck, stagnant, scared, or shrinked in your energy, that place definitely has to do something with it. Have you ever seen a wild animal in a cage in a zoo and see the same animal, in the open wild jungle? They behave very differently. A few weeks ago, I was in Sedona. I was actually, doing an event in LA, and my ticket was booked to go back to New York. I canceled the ticket. Instead, I detoured, took a trip to Sedona. And I was surprised because I was, going through a certain conflict or just pressure because of work. There was a lot of work that needed to wrap up, and I felt I'm losing time. And it reached a point that I felt, what? Let me go to Sedona, reset, and see what happens. The moment I landed in Sedona, a new energy started to show up in me. I felt free, creative, inspired. And the craziest thing was the way I was speaking to the locals. I was speaking to them as if I live there with them. And not many people know, I have a fascination with snakes. And Not to say if you hand me over a snake, I'll enjoy it. I'll still freak out, but I find them really beautiful. I find them really attractive. And when I, would hike in LA, and I would come across snakes in India, in LA, I've seen snakes in these two places a lot. I don't run away. I've never ran away. I would simply gaze at them. I find them again very spiritual, very powerful. Because snakes remind me that if you do not shed your skin, you will die. So it's a constant reminder to my mind that you will die if you don't shed your skin. In Indian traditions, when the snakes shed their skin, many people keep that skin in their altar, in their meditation spaces, spiritual, religious spaces, because it is a symbolism of growth, change, transformation. My point is, I came across some snakes in Sedona, and it was after a long time I saw it, and I felt such a reset and recharge of that fire within. And it again reminded me to shed, your old skin is normal, it's okay, it's safe. It filled me with creative ideas. It filled me with so many powerful action points. And now that I'm back in New York, I'm putting those ideas in action. Now, those were not super powerful, revolutionary ideas, but they happened in a place, not in my home, away from home. But that's the magic of being away from home. Here's the thing. If a wild animal doesn't do well in a caged environment, the human beings also follow the same norm. We do not do well in a caged space. Unfortunately, our cages are not so visible. For most humans, the cages are mental, emotional. There is social programming, religious programming, family programming, and it keeps many people stuck. Think of yourself as a seed. When the right seed is planted in the wrong soil, it won't do well. But imagine you keep blaming the seed instead of changing the soil. But this is what happens. This is how we were schooled. I mean, that was my schooling experience. This is how I've seen the schooling for many of the people I know. You are expected to behave like 50 other students in the class. It's really like picking 50 unique seeds and throwing them in the same soil. No wonder school turns out to be such a suppressive, regressive, controlling, and just uneasy experience for many kids. My first experience of frustration and rebelliousness happened in school. I bet that's how it was for many of you. You are a seed of consciousness. Your environment matters. Do what it takes to shift from here to there. And if you've seen my other video in Cinema Paradiso, I mentioned how Alfredo told Toto to leave the hometown, to not give in to nostalgia, because that's where the healing is. That's where the liberation is. Now, fun question to you. What if you could leave this place where you are? Where it would be? Where would you go? And why would you go there? Just think about it. There is no right and wrong answer. Resistance 3, family programming. We were stuck, so should you. So, unfortunately, this is what a lot of kids receive from their parents. And I'm talking about the most well-intentioned parents here, because, there is another kind of toxicity in the parent-children dynamic, and that's outright abusive, emotionally unhealthy. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the dynamic that's subtle. It's not outright abusive, it's not outright controlling, but there is a subtle fear, silence. It just nobody talks about this stuff. It's much more painful. And in this kind of setting, the kids receive the message: stay in the familiar space, do not experiment, do not go into the unknown, because we were stuck and we did okay. And you could also be stuck, because you'll also do okay. I'll share an example. One of my students really wants to flourish, be in the limelight and be out there in the world. And she would charge $100, $150 for her services. And I would say, your work is much more valuable. People would pay 5 to 6 figures for this, and they are paying the same for these services out there. And she's in the creative direction, artistic space, and there's no end to how much she could be paid, and she's very talented. Now, when she speaks to me, she feels that inspiration, courage, and everything. But here's what happens: the path of a seeker, a creative, an artist is an organic path. It's a slow burn, it takes time. So, whenever she shares her challenges with her parents, the father would say, "Do you have enough to pay the bill this month? You need help from me? Let me know." The mother will say, "Do you really need to do this? Maybe get a second job, third job, and then do this." And her confidence, her excitement just collapses. You see, when people who have raised you, when people who have given birth to you, when they share this kind of fear and lack of confidence about you, you have no option but to start doubting your worth. So while I'm pushing her to charge 10,000, 20,000 and more for the genius work she's putting out there, she gets the message: even if you get $200 for this, take it, because you have nothing. Can you pay the rent? So this is such an endless loop for many people. And this is where a big resistance starts to show up for people. Now, here's a solution. What needs to happen is a rewiring at the subconscious level. Think of your subconscious as a snake that shows up and scares you. It doesn't sting you, it scares you. So you might be, standing in your warrior and monk mindset energy, but that subconscious snake shows up. It scares the heck out of you. And then you sabotage the dream, the plan, the vision. And again, you work with someone like me and you build up the confidence, you do the work. Again, the subconscious shows up. Now, this circus needs to end. And I have worked I have created a program for straight 12, 13 years. I have experimented with this particular technique and pattern in my own journey as well, on myself, not just my students. Think of it as a cosmic download where you receive the personalized meditation, download, mantras, affirmation, a specific messaging to rewire your identity, to reset your entire journey. Because these resistances that we are discussing, they won't heal or transcend themselves until you hit a hard reset. When the router doesn't work, sometimes a quick on and off will make it, restart. But sometimes a hard reset is needed. You pull out all the plugs and then you put it back. In the good old days, we would take CPU of computer out and they'll do the hard reset. It's much easier nowadays. But the point is, hard reset needs a certain effort. And when I do the hard reset for myself, I go through that time period where I'm constantly, implementing the messages in my subconscious about how I want to show up. That's my 2.0 version. And I recently shared on Instagram that now I'm entering into the 3.0 version. So this is what I do for students. And if this feels exciting to you, reach out to me, because I am offering the Cosmic Download program to selective students, where I will create this entire, recording the download for you every month. It's exciting, it's powerful, it's very ambitious part of my offering. And if you do not see it right away on my website, because I've never offered it publicly, but now I plan to. But if you're watching this video right at the time when this is released, reach out to me on Instagram or email me at info@leelagurukul.com. And I would love to chat with you and see if the cosmic download is what you need and what you want for the next chapter of your life. Back to parents and family programming. See, the thing is, they'll never tell you this. They'll love you to death. However, they're also very scared to see you experimenting and, venturing out in directions that are unknown. For them, the social approval, social applause, programming, validation is really important. And it could get to an extent that they rather see you in a known misery than in an unknown adventure. They rather see you getting stuck and be miserable in a marriage that brings them social applause or validation than seeing you dating and having fun with people you really enjoy. It's just the fearful programming. Again, it's no one's fault but the fear that's calling the shots. But you get to break the generational drama. You get to break the pattern, where nobody is getting the happiness. And you do it by going deeper into your shadows, by sitting with your shadows, gazing deep into its eyes and ask, what do you want? Why are you here? How do I, create an exit point for you? And trust me, the shadow will respond. It just needs a certain safe space for it to open up and respond. And the only thing in this entire process that you need to understand and remind is having the courage to be disliked. People pleasing should be taught in schools, but the unfortunate truth is it's a school that programs us to please everyone. But this is such a classic case of people pleasing, parent pleasing, where subconsciously you will keep doing the things and saying things that they want to hear. So you create a secret life. You have secret or hidden plans, agendas where you just honor that part of yourself. For some people, it starts at 11 p.m. where they start chatting with certain, humans, and they feel, oh, that's me honoring my space. It could be a secret vacation. It could be extramarital affair. It's endless because deep down you want affection, love, warmth, safety, some sort of validation, some sort of excitement. But when it's that excitement, that longing, that seeking isn't satisfied in your culture, in your system, you'll find some unhealthy ways to satisfy it. So my point is, you'd rather break the programming now before it fully exhausts you and depletes you. And last but not the least resistance is the self-imposed restrictions. Okay, what does it look like? While you jump from one YouTube video to another, one meditation app to another, one spiritual bestseller book to another, do not forget your role in this entire healing process. Because it's easy to put blame on others, easy to complain about the environment and everything. But if you don't meet yourself, the healing will not happen, the solution will not happen, the transformation will not happen. Okay? What does it mean to meet yourself? Think of it as a way to meet your inner child. Because see, there are two ways to live. One is the unconscious way, and other one is the conscious way. In the unconscious way, you are simply overindulgent in sleeping, eating, satisfying pleasure through food, alcohol, sex, substance, whatever it is. And it's a repeating pattern. You repeat it like a machine every single day. So you feel the urge to have sex when you look at clock or when a certain time hits, just like you feel hungry if you are having lunch every day at 2 p.m. The conscious way is when you're willing and ready to enter into an era where you call the shots, where you are co-creating with the universe. In the conscious way, you rewrite your story, your way. In the conscious way, you work with your ancestors. You invite them while you're writing your 2.0 version. So I'll pick an example from the cosmic download. When you fill out the cosmic download, you get two documents. One is where you fill out 10 to 15 questions, answers to 10 to 15 questions. And each question is hitting into, what do you want? Who are you beyond the family? What is your deep desire? What's going well? What's not going well? What would you do if you were fully free? What does abundance means to you? And so on. There are many questions. I'm just picking the ones that are coming to my mind. And the other document that I will work with you to create is your 2.0 document, where you actually create your 2.0 version. You let go and dissolve and transmute the things, the patterns, the stories you don't want, and you invite a new pattern, a new story, a new way to live and love. Okay. Now, this entire setup of the conscious way works well when there is receptivity. I spoke about the concept of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is the masculine energy here. If you only go with 100% of that masculine hustle and aggression, it won't move the needle. You might feel exhausted, depleted, and emotionless at the end of the day. And if you only move through that Shakti energy, the divine feminine, sacred feminine power, you may only go toward the being part, but the doing is not happening. In my experience as a spiritual advisor of 14 years, I've seen even if you operate with 10% of action and 90% of this feminine receptive energy, the needle will move. The changes start to happen because on this earth, in this world, the root chakra of the earth is the feminine. Okay, you have come from the feminine energy. You have come from the womb. So in order for your life to change, your energy has to be shifted from that feminine level. And once you start to do it, the change will happen. This is why receiving, and you could meditate on your own, but a specific technique that speaks to your mind, that rewires your subconscious, and you do nothing, you simply receive. That's the feminine way. Have you ever seen, or has it ever happened to you? So this is speaking to humans who are attracted to women. So you walk into a party and all a woman needs to do is look at you with a gaze. It could melt a poet. It could melt gods and goddesses. So I write, if you're not from my Instagram, I write tons of stuff about the feminine energy. So my point is, a sensual gaze from a feminine can change the entire room. Her sensuality is her superpower. And a woman doesn't need to do much to change that energy in the room. Her presence, her softness, her sensuality is so empowering. We have seen history changing multiple times simply because a woman's, energy showed up in that space. That's the power of the Shakti, the feminine. Now, when you invite that Shakti, that energy within you, imagine the changes you can create. I grew up in India, and all the goddess temples, they're loaded with men seeking that Shakti, that feminine energy. While in the West, I have seen it's the divine feminine is part of the women's circle. I grew up in India seeing the divine feminine is such a hot topic among the men because they know the power of Shakti. They know the divine feminine impact. So if you are willing to rewire your subconscious to change your story, be open to the sacred feminine, be open to the divine feminine, be open to the concept of Shakti and Shiva. It transcends religion, it transcends the belief systems. You got to be open to it, and it will create the magic. This wonderful statue that you're seeing behind me of Buddha channeled his enlightenment by opening his heart to the receptiveness. Otherwise, it would not have happened. These, goddesses behind me, they represent the unconventional energy, in the feminine. It's very powerful stuff, but it starts to happen when you become open. To conclude the video, remember what matters is what you do, and what matters is how receptive and how passive you are. Invite the Shiva and Shakti with you. If you resonate with my message, with my work, with my teachings, subscribe to the channel. It just gives encouragement to people like me to keep creating these videos for your growth. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.